welcome to Kindred Spirits. I'm your host, Kristi Brower, and of course you're listening live here on Marvelous Monday on 12radio.com. I am excited to be here with you today. I missed you last week, and so I have so much to share with you today. Please join me in the 12 Radio chat room by going to 12radio.com and clicking on the chat button. That will bring you right into our Facebook group, which if you haven't already joined, you can do that by asking to join, and my producer Scott will let you right in the door. You will find me in the chat room in two ways. I am live times two today. So I am live on the radio. You will find my banner pinned at the top of the page where you can chat with me, ask questions there. You can make reading requests because I will be doing those later on in the show. And then below that, you will find my Facebook Live video. So if you would like to watch my show as it happens, live and in color, please do that. Just note that if you're going to watch it, listen to the audio on the video and not the audio on 12 Radio because they don't match up and it gets a little confusing. So I'm excited to be there in all of those places for you today. I have tons of stuff to share with you. I really have a lot going on, so I'm excited to share all of it. So a couple of things. Gosh, where do I even want to begin? I'm going to get to my topic in a couple of minutes. My topic is optimism. But first, I want to share several new things that I have going on. I think I'll start right off the bat with my new video sessions over at 12listen.com. So you guys know, of course, that I am an advisor at 12listen and an instructor at 12 Academy. And I have some new things happening over at 12listen that I'm really excited about. So I am now offering a couple of video sessions. So you know how you watch me on Facebook Live as I do the show? Well, you can now get a couple of different kinds of sessions with me that are videos. And they are YouTube videos that only you have the link to. So nobody else can see them but you and me. And there's something that you can watch over and over again. So I'm going to post a link to those in the chat, but you can find them really easily by going to 12listen.com and you click on my advisor profile page. Go to my email-based sessions. So you order these as an email. So it's like ordering an email reading, except what you get back is not an email reading. It's a link to your video. So I have two videos available now, and they are, the first is a guided imagery meditation video. It is a custom guided imagery meditation video. So that means that I will write it just for you, and it will be your very own meditation. So say, you guys are very familiar with my meditations. I'm going to post a link in the chat to an example of one that I've done that's on my YouTube channel so that you can see it. But you've heard all the kinds of meditations that I do here on the show. Well, I will write a custom one for you. So if you say, for example, you're working on self-esteem and you want to do a meditation every day that really helps you boost your self-esteem, helps you to feel better about yourself, release your self-doubt, release your, the struggles that you have with feeling good about you. I will write that meditation for you, and then I will record it as a video. And the video will be me with music in the background, sharing that meditation with you, and then it's something that you can watch every day to help support you. Say you're struggling with grief, and you're trying to let go of grief, and you need some help with that. One thing I'm sure you've noticed about my meditations is that they're not just a meditation. They're also an energy healing, because everything that I do is an energy healing. That's just who I am. I've just launched a new logo and a new title. I'm always rethinking myself and what I do and how to best describe it. And so now I'm calling myself the Energy Mender, because that's what I do. I mend energy, right? You guys know I mend energy. I do it for you here on the radio all the time, over at 12listen, over at 12 Academy. So you might notice I'll post up my new logo that the lovely Kelly McLean has developed for me. I appreciate her very much, and she did some great work. And I want to credit Kelly and Elizabeth Lindsay, because they really helped me get to the meat of who am I, what do I do, and how do I best represent that. Sometimes we all need help with that, right? So I'm the energy mender. So in my meditations, there's an element of mending your energy in them, right? So say you're struggling with grief. So you need a meditation that helps you release the heaviness that grief places inside of you, that you feel inside of yourself. And say that you need some guidance with that. You need some help with how to let that go. And how to fill yourself back up with happy, positive energy, with energy that heals your heart. I can write a meditation for you specifically about that issue or any other issue, and then I will record that meditation as a video that you can then use over and over again to work on that particular issue. So I'm really excited about offering that for you guys. I can't even tell you like how thrilled I am about doing this work. I've been really having a lot of fun with it. So I recorded a meditation, a video one, so that you can see what I'm talking about. So this is my meditation, Spirit Crystal Chakra Balancing. You guys are familiar with it probably. If you listen to my show, I've done it on here lots of times on the show. So I did a video version of it with stones. So I show, in the video, you can see the stones as I use them throughout the meditation. And that brings me to the other video session that I have available, which is a chakra balancing with crystals. And it will be a specific one to you. So I will read your energy body, determine what stones you need. In the video, I will show you the stones I'm going to use to balance your energy body and tell you their names and explain to you why I chose them for you. And then I will do a chakra balancing live on video for you with the stones and explain what I see going on in your energy body, how I balanced you, those kinds of things. And it is certainly something that you can watch multiple times, because if a stone really resonates with you once, it's going to resonate with you again. So it's something that you can use more than one time. I'm just super excited about these. So I made this video, Spirit Crystal Chakra Balancing, kind of as a double example. So it is a guided imagery meditation, but it also uses stones. So you can kind of see how both sessions would go. So check those out. You can find them over at one2listen.com in my email services. I did send a link out to them in my newsletter this week. If you got that. If you don't get my newsletter, go to my website, kristibrower.com, and sign up for it, because I would love to send you my newsletter so that you can see what I have coming up every week. And, I'm always excited about something new. Speaking of, I am going to attach my new logo. I want you guys to see it, because I'm really, really happy with it. I'm excited about the direction that it's taking me. It's really fun to kind of, figure this stuff out for yourself, So this is my new logo. I just put it up in the chat. If you're not in the chat, that's fine. You can see it over at my website, kristibrower.com. It's now the header of my website, and it came out as the header in my newsletter this week as well. Okay. All right, so I posted that up in the chat. Now, I want to kind of get into our topic, and then we'll do our meditation here in a few minutes. So our topic today is optimism. Been thinking a lot about optimism lately, because we talked a lot lately about challenges. I talked a lot about perspective last month, and I talked about resilience the month before. And, those things imply that we're going kind of through a tough time, which that we are. We are going through a tough time. This whole planet is going through a tough time. But it doesn't mean that we cannot maintain optimism even if we're going through a difficult time, right? We can find ways for things to be more positive, even when things seem challenging and difficult. And that's something that I think I'm in general pretty good at. I don't know that I always was, but it's something I've worked on and developed throughout my life. And I tend to be a very optimistic person. Sometimes I'm too optimistic and underestimate the implications of something. I kind of tend to go the other way. And sometimes I'm just too optimistic in the opinion of people around me. My son gets frustrated with me because he always says, why do you always see everything in the positive? Why do you always think everything is going to turn out okay? I mean, seriously, don't you ever think something's going to be bad? And I don't. I really don't. I've been through a lot of quote unquote bad stuff in my life. Both my parents died after horrible illnesses. I've had a lot of medical problems in the last couple of years. I have lost all of my grandparents. My little brother died when I was 3. I've had a lot of death in my family. I've had a lot of challenges. I lost a job once, and the result of losing that job, I lost my vehicle to repossession, and I lost my house to foreclosure. But I'm sitting here today with a smile on my face in spite of all of those things, because ultimately everything was still okay. There are still challenges, but does it mean that everything's bad and that I, sort of have permission to now see my life in a negative way? No, it really doesn't. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live wallowing in the difficulties. I want to find the positives, find the good in the things that go on, and use those things to make my life better. Use those things to learn for next time. Use those things to give me perspective, right? And we all have that opportunity. We really do all have a choice. So I started learning this concept pretty young. My great-grandfather, his name was Bert. And his name was actually Burkhart, but he went by Bert. I love Burkhart, though, because that just said so much about who he was. He was a tremendously loving and positive human being. And he just didn't ever let anything get him down. And, I only knew him until I was in my mid-teens. And I didn't know all of the challenges that he had in his life. As an adult, I look back on it and realize that his wife died young, leaving him with, I believe my aunt was 11 when her mother died. And so, she was the youngest child. And he had some significant challenges in his life. Not even the only one, but that being a major one. But did he let those things get him down? He really didn't. He was one of the most positive people I knew. He loved the book, You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. And he used to give it out to family members. And he didn't just give it to you. He expected you to read it. And he wanted to talk to you about it. And he wanted to know your opinion. Like, he was way into this stuff. He was way into the power of positive thinking long before it became trendy. And he really used it in his life. And he was a person who died with a smile on his face. He really did. He just was that kind of guy. And I learned a lot just from being around him and recognizing that that's the kind of person that he was. It helped me to learn how to be that myself. So I wanted to share some things that I have learned about being more positive, being more optimistic in life, seeing things from the bright side. So here are a few bullet points. We have more control over our thoughts than we take responsibility for. Our emotions happen, right? Emotions are kind of like breathing. They occur. But then our response to them is our choice. What we do with how we feel is really in our control. Now, we don't always recognize that. We don't always credit that, right? It's something that as little kids, right? We're upset because he made me mad or he hurt my feelings. We kind of immediately externalize control over ourselves, don't we? And so we have to intentionally internalize control, take it back and say, well, he said a mean thing to me, but I have a choice. Do I want to let that get to me? Do I want to let it ruin my day? I don't have to, right? Because what he said is what he said. They're his words, not mine. It doesn't mean it's true if he called me a name. It means that that's where he's at. It doesn't mean it's where I'm at. I don't have to take it on, do I? I can choose to not take it on. And that's probably the most powerful message that I can give you today about staying optimistic. Take control over your reactions and your thoughts to things. Does it matter? Probably not. Do you really want to let somebody else's opinion or somebody else's bad day give you a bad day? Does somebody saying something rude about you mean that it's true? Does having a bad experience mean your whole life is ruined? I mean, seriously, I want you to think about these things in the terms of having control over your reactions. So getting clear about and choosing a positive response is key to maintaining a positive outlook. Choosing a positive response. We have a choice over our response, don't we? part of that that's very helpful is to look at things in the big picture. We get stuck in the details. We get stuck in the minutia of life. We get stuck in the little tiny things, the little details. So one small thing goes wrong and our day is blown. But in the long-term perspective, does that one little thing actually matter? A lot of times it doesn't. We really do get stuck in things that over time really don't matter. We have to remember to take a step back and ask, does this really matter? We have to ask it consciously. Because remember, we have these sort of visceral responses. Now we have to make conscious choices about them. Ask yourself, does this matter? Does this really matter? Because small irritating events are part of life, right? Stubbing your toe, knocking something on the floor, breaking something, forgetting your keys, losing your phone. That kind of stuff happens to everybody. That's just a part of humanity. But don't let little details ruin your positive outlook on life. That's really key. To stop and say, okay, that was crappy, and now I'm going to be okay. And move on. Allow it. Take good care of yourself. If you don't feel well physically or emotionally, if you don't feel connected spiritually, it is going to be difficult to be optimistic, to be positive, to look at things on the bright side. It really will be difficult. And so you have to look at, am I feeling okay? Am I doing okay? Is everything all right inside of me? That's really, really important. You don't want to allow some physical discomfort to change how you really feel inside, right? We've all been there. Working in mental health and working in addiction, there's an acronym called HALT. And HALT is something that we would use to assess a person's potential for relapse. And HALT stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. So if somebody is a recovering addict or a recovering alcoholic and they're trying to stay clean, those elements, those very human and physical, emotional, spiritual elements are what can cause a relapse. So when somebody's really struggling, you ask them, are you hungry? Are you eating well? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you angry? Are you upset about something? Do we need to talk something out? Are you lonely? Are you lacking a connection with other people? Are you lacking a connection with the divine? Are you tired? Are you having difficulty sleeping? Is that affecting your day-to-day outlook on life? I think that HALT works for everybody. I think that HALT is a great way to assess your ability to be optimistic and look at life positively. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And if you're two of those, you're doubly not optimistic, right? So really taking good care of yourself is key. That matters to how you think. If you don't feel well, you also don't think real well, right? Okay. One last thing, and then we're going to do a meditation. Dial down the intensity. Our emotions can make things bigger than they really are. They can make things feel bigger than they really are. So we may blow something up that doesn't really need to be blown up. We need to bring the intensity of a situation down in order to be able to shift your thinking to a positive state. What's really important about that is that you need to feel your emotions. You need to allow them to happen and then move on. It's super important that you feel them. I'm not saying don't feel your emotions. Definitely feel them. Don't stuff them, because when you stuff your emotions, then you continue to carry them for a long period of time, and they build up and they build up and they increase intensity. So if you feel angry, take a step back, go somewhere and scream into a pillow, do something that you need to do to express that anger so that the intensity level can come down. It can be released so that you can move forward and think positively. My son is a really good example of this. My son, he's a Scorpio, and he has schizophrenia. And so emotions are a big thing for him. They get really, really big. And so he can be very intense about small things. So we work on, okay, you're pissed. go beat up some guys on a video game or race a car for a while or something. He needs to express it in some way. He has a punching bag hanging in our garage. Go punch the crap out of the punching bag for a few minutes. Bring down the intensity and then come back in, and now let's find a positive way to deal with the issue. That helps him a lot, and I watch that intensity thing with him regularly, because that's an indication to me that he's really struggling. If he's getting more and more and more intense about things, and little things become big things. So really check yourself for that intensity. Are you blowing things out of proportion? It may be because you're actually not really allowing yourself to feel your emotions. When you're blowing things out of proportion, it's usually because you're reacting to multiple emotions inside of yourself. You haven't let them really dissipate by expressing them, and so they're getting bigger, and the pot is boiling as the intensity builds inside of you. So that being said, I think we're going to come back to some more things about optimism and positive thinking, but I want to first share a meditation with you that is very helpful for that. So Scott, if you would cue up our meditation music, we're going to do the meditation emotion release. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Allow your body to settle and your mind to go quiet. Now bring your attention to your heart chakra. Really feel the emotions that are swirling in there. What's in there? What's hanging around on your heart? Give them a name, identify them. And maybe it's a group of emotions, and that's okay. Maybe it's a single one, but kind of name them. Give them a name. What are they? And give them a color. So just feel into them for a minute. What color are those emotions in your heart? Now, gather all those emotions up into a ball of energy. So just build a little ball of energy, pulling that emotional energy right out of your heart, and make a little chi ball or an energy ball from those emotions. So now that you've got your ball of energy, of emotional energy, things that just need to be expressed, need to be released from you, you notice in front of you a vortex of white light has opened up in the earth. And this vortex can be used to transmute any energy into love. So you can throw anything into that and it will be transmuted into love. You can release anything from you this way. Now, you take this ball of energy that you have created from your emotions and you throw it into the vortex of white light. You see it land in the vortex and you see the energy change into a beautiful pale blue energy, which is the energy of unconditional love. So whatever color this was, it's now the energy of unconditional love as it's been released from you. So now take a moment to check in with your heart. Feel the relief inside your body, the release of difficult emotions that you sent into the vortex. And remember that you can do this anytime you're ready to just let go of or release some emotional energy. If you're feeling it built up in you, feeling that intensity level coming up, this is a great way to release that energy and let it go. And when you're ready, take 3 deep breaths. And open your eyes. Very good. So that is one way to release the intensity or to bring down the intensity of emotions. A few other ways to try. You can get mad. Punch a pillow. Go throw some rocks. Do you need to physically express your anger? Well, it doesn't mean that you need to punch somebody, even if you might feel like that. But maybe you do need a physical release of that energy. Maybe you need to go for a little run if you like to run. Would not be my choice, but somebody else's. I'm a walker. I love to walk. Running, not so much. But throwing things I do like. So I like to go down to the river and throw rocks. So sometimes it feels really good to just throw it, and you can pick up a rock and you can say into it something that you just really needed to say, didn't get to say in the moment, really need to let go of, or just that expresses the emotion that you're feeling, and then you throw that rock into the water. That's totally fine. Maybe you like to lift weights or punch a punching bag, or maybe you go to kickboxing, Physical release of anger is a great idea. You just need to do it in an appropriate way, right? That's what I've been teaching my kid for a long time, Punching people, not okay. Punching a punching bag, go for it. That's allowed. But you've all got a pillow. You need to punch a pillow or grab it and hold it up to your face and scream into it. Do it. If you need to sit in your car by yourself and just scream at the top of your lungs, have you ever seen somebody do that? I have actually driven by somebody that I could tell. They were just screaming at the top of their lungs alone in their car. Like they needed to release some anger. They needed a physical way to do it, and you could see them doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. Let it go. Remember that there are no bad emotions. Emotions just are. It's what we do with them that really matters, right? And expressing them is important. Expressing them is key because they're energy. They have to be expressed. They have to be burned off in some way. Maybe you need to cry, and it's okay to cry. And some of us are good criers. I am a good crier. I cry all the time. But I know some people struggle with that and really hold back crying and don't allow themselves to. We all need to cry sometimes. That really is necessary, and it is okay. And if you need a moment to cry, and maybe you need to cry by yourself, or maybe you need to cry with your best friend, or maybe you need to sit with your dog and cry. I do that sometimes because I have my little dachshunds like to sit on my lap, and sometimes if I'm upset, I could just hold them and cry, So don't underestimate that crying is important. Sing. This is one I do a lot because I love to sing. And so I sing to express emotions. I sing to bring down the intensity of what I'm feeling. I sing to bring my vibration up. I sing to return my optimism to myself. I have found that singing really helps me to be more positive. If I am struggling, I put my headphones on and I listen to something that I love and I sing at the top of my lungs. It brings my vibration up. It brings my optimism back. But I also can use it to express emotions that I need and bring that energy down. Dance. I know some people who, and that's not really my thing because frankly, I'm a terrible dancer. But if you love to dance, crank up the music and dance for a while. It brings down the emotional intensity. It allows you to get back to a place of choosing your reactions to things. Then you can return to a place of optimism. Scream, which we talked about, or anything else that you need to do that helps you to express your emotions. Maybe it's write. Maybe it's create something. Maybe it's cook. Lots of people cook as a way to express themselves. Use it as a way to bring the emotional intensity of your situation down. And once you've done that, then you can be more rational. You can choose your reactions. And something that I always do, that I want to recommend that you do, is try to look at a situation and see what are the good parts of it. What are the things that you're learning from it? What are the things that have brought you a new perspective? What are the positives that have been brought forward in your life? For example, if you lose a job, I've worked with lots of you who have lost a job, and then you really struggle with feeling good about yourself and feeling positive about getting back into a good working situation. And it's really important to remember that when something leaves your life, space has been made for something new. That can be true of a job, it can be true of a relationship, it can be true of lots of things. But remember that there can be a positive in that. What's coming in? What's the space going to be filled with when this thing leaves? Remember that. You can look at it in the positive light. I remember when I lost my house. I lost my job, and because this happened a long time ago, more than 10 years ago now. When I lost my job, I lost my house. I could not continue to pay on my house. When I got another job, it was a lower paying job. It was something I started out part-time at, and I had trouble finding something new. Ultimately, I lost my house. that was a very terrible experience in a lot of ways. I mean, I will admit it. It's not that I'm going to say, hey, losing your house is awesome. But I look back on it now and realize that it set into motion a whole bunch of really positive things, really positive changes. It forced me forward in a really good way. And so although losing my house was really painful, did it ruin my life? No, it pushed me back into, not back into really, but into a new phase or a new cycle of my life that ended up being really positive. That had I stayed living where I was living in that house, I'm not sure that my life would be the same now as it was then. I think that things changed very significantly for me because I had to move. I moved to another place that changed my relationship. It changed my job situation. It changed everything in a positive way. So that's what I mean by looking at the positives, looking at the bright side of things. It doesn't mean that you have to have a very Pollyanna attitude that everything's wonderful and fine and nothing's bad and nothing's difficult. No, that's not true. Be realistic. It's okay to say this was awful. This was a terrible experience. But from it, I learned this. But from it, I developed a better perspective or understanding of myself in this way, or a better understanding of someone else in this way. Or it propelled me in a direction that now, because of that very difficult situation, I'm now doing this, which is really a good thing. So you can look at life from lots of different angles. And I really encourage you to do that when working on optimism. Look at your life from lots of different perspectives, because you're going to find that nothing is all bad. There's always a bright spot or a silver lining or some positive step in your life in another direction, even when something difficult or painful happens. That's what it means to be optimistic. It means that you can look at things and recognize that change happens, bad experiences happen. They can always push you in a bad way or in a good way, and you have a choice. You can choose to see your life as a series of events that are leading you in a positive direction. You can see your life in a way that you choose your responses to whatever happens to you in order to maintain a positive outlook. Because being negative all the time sucks. I've been there. I hate it. I don't want to feel like that anymore. You know, I went through a really rough time after my mom died, where I just was really negative all the time. And my partner, Rhonda, really helped me get out of that, and pointed out that, you're just in a place of everything is bad now. And it's not all bad. And you're still here. You're still living. Your life is still happening, even without your mom. And that was a hard thing for me, but it was true. I needed to hear it. And it really helped me start to look at things on the positive again. Didn't mean that I saw my mom's death as a positive thing. It simply meant that I started to look at things from a positive angle again. Really helped me get back to myself, and I appreciate very much that Rhonda helped me to do that. But I've been in that place, and because I had been in that place when my mom died, I didn't go there when my dad died. I remembered. Oh yeah, I remember getting to this down on everything place where everything was negative and bad and difficult. I remember. I do not want to go there again. And so I didn't. I handled things with my dad's death differently than my mom's because of that. And so that's part of maintaining optimism, is learning from our experiences and looking back on things and remembering, this is how I handled it and I didn't like it. I want to do it differently. I'm going to choose a different path this time. You can do that. We all can do that. Okay. There's my soapbox about optimism. I appreciate you guys being here and participating in this conversation. I know you are in the chat, and I'm going to go to the chat right now and see what you all have to say, because I'm sure that you all have been through these things yourself. So, of course, I'm refreshing Facebook, which is taking me just a minute. Maybe more than just a minute. Facebook is really giving me a challenge here. Here we go. Okay. Take a look at what you all have to say. I appreciate all of you being there in the chat to say today. Denise says it's kind of funny to watch the video and be listening to the radio at the same time. It's kind of like watching a bad Godzilla movie. Yes, they don't line up, you know. They don't line up at all. Let's see. I see some requests for readings, and I'm going to get back to those in just a minute, but I wanted to see what you have to say about our topic. Let's see here. Pamela says crying is my go-to. Yeah, a lot of people do, and that is really okay. That is really okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people cry over everything, and that's all right. You don't have to stop that. It's not a bad thing at all. Let's see. Elizabeth says her dysfunction is hangry, which is hungry and angry. Oriana, who is a Scorpio, says that journaling helps a lot for her, and so does dancing. And Elizabeth loves to sing in the shower. Very good, you guys. Yeah, see? There's all kinds of stuff that we can do to release that energy. So I want to get to the stone of the week and the energy tip of the week, and then I'm going to get to your questions and your reading requests. So the stone of the week is carnelian. Carnelian agate. I was looking around my office and all my stones and thinking about what is a stone of optimism. Now, there are many. I'm going to say there are many, but I was thinking about what is my go-to for optimism. And I got to say that it's carnelian, because one of the things that carnelian, well, a couple of things. Carnelian is a sacral chakra stone, and it really helps with emotional expression, which of course is very important when it comes to optimism. We need to be able to express ourselves emotionally in order to feel optimistic, right? It is also a stone of creativity. It is a stone of passion and a stone of feeling inspired. And that is a really important way that we can stay optimistic, to feel inspired about our lives, to have a project, to have a direction, to have a goal, something that you're doing that matters to you, that matters in your life. And carnelian is a great stone to assist with that. So that is the stone that I chose for this week for our optimism, because feeling like you're expressing yourself, feeling like you are challenged creatively, like you have a passion, those are really important parts of staying optimistic. That's really key, because when there is a purpose to your life, when you're here for a reason, doing something that you love, it is much easier to stay optimistic about your life. And then your energy tip this week, if I can find it, right here, is about music. Because I think that for lots of us, music is a great way to get yourself back to feeling positive and optimistic. It's a great way to express some emotions if you need to, in order to get to that place. Music is vibration. And so music heals our energy bodies in a very literal way. Lots of music, and there's the solfeggio frequencies, and there's music that's produced specifically for that reason, right? And that stuff is great. I love it. I've used it lots of times. But it is not the only music that is healing. All music is healing if it feels healing to you. If it is music that you love, if it is music that brings you peace or happiness, or that helps you express what you are feeling, then it is music that is healing you. So it doesn't have to be new age music, and it doesn't have to be solfeggio frequency music or chanting or singing bowls. Those things are all wonderful, and if you like them, great. But if heavy metal heals you, or rap heals you, or country, or classical is a real go-to for me, whatever you like, whatever makes you feel good, is music that is healing you, because it is a vibration. And we know that we are a variable vibration, right? We move up and down. Music is a fixed vibration. When you listen to a song on the radio, it doesn't change because of its interaction with you. You change because of your interaction with it, right? So it's that whole idea of entrainment, that we match up to the vibrations around us. And so we can match up to music that makes us feel good, brings our vibration up, brings about a sense of well-being, helps us to choose optimism, helps us to choose looking at life in a positive way, that things are happening for a reason and going to work out for our very best good. So use music this week. Take a moment to spend some time listening to music that you love. Build yourself some playlists. I have some playlists that I listen to for different things. I have a playlist that I listen to when I write. I like classical music for writing. It really helps me focus and kind of zero in on what I'm trying to say. And so I put headphones on and listen to classical music and write, and it's like the words flow right out of me. And without that music, I feel like I struggle to get my words on paper. And with the music on, I can do it. I have music that I fall asleep to. I have music that I love to listen to when I'm feeling sad. I have music that I love to listen to when I'm feeling happy. I have music that I love to listen to when I'm feeling angry. Take some time to build yourself some playlists. Like I use Spotify. There's lots of different subscription music programs out there. But I love those personally because then you can access anything. It's a monthly subscription. And then you can set up a playlist of all different kinds of things. And I have all those playlists downloaded to my phone. I can play them in my car. I can play them with headphones. I can play them wherever I am. So, look at that. How can you use music? And if you aren't, how could you start using music to help you with positive thinking, to help you express some things that might be stuck inside of you? There's definitely a lot that can be done there. It's just a matter of allowing yourself to have whatever you love. I love old peace protest music. I grew up on it. So I have lots of that kind of music. I have a lot of older music because that's what I love. And I love classical music because I was a classically trained musician in high school and college. And so classical music has a real meaning for me. So, figure out what has a real meaning for you. Maybe there's music from your childhood that you need to listen to. When I get to missing my dad, I listen to John Denver. He loved John Denver. I know the words to nearly every John Denver song out there because my dad loved it and we listened to him all the time. And sometimes I just really need my dad around, and so I listen to John Denver. The peace protest music and the Beatles and the Mamas and the Papas and Peter, Paul and Mary and Simon and Garfunkel, those are all my mom's music. And so when I miss her, when I need her around, I listen to her music. So think about that a little bit. How can you bring energy into your life from people that maybe you don't have around anymore? Or from a time in your life when things were better, that you can bring that energy in to raise your vibration, to get back to a place of positivity and optimism. So that's the energy tip this week. Okay. Kevin says, I've gone into the bathroom at work and literally banged my head on the wall. Now, I will say I've seen my son do this. It scares me because I don't want you to hurt yourself, but I get it. Sometimes it's a very physical way of expressing anger or frustration. Just be sure you do it in a safe way. Kevin says, dissonant chords really help me go deep emotionally. Me too. I love dissonance and I love minor keys. When I'm feeling sad or when I'm feeling frustrated or angry or, having difficult emotions and trying to really get in there and let them go, I like dissonance and I like minor keys. And I'm talking classical music for me in that way. Okay, now I know that there are lots of questions in the chat, so I'm going to get to as many of you as I can. Kathy said that she would love a message today if I have one to share. I probably do. Hang on, let me take a little drink here. Okay, so Kathy, when I check in with you, I feel a lot of tightness in my jaw and my neck. It feels like, when you've got your shoulders up to your ears because you're feeling stressed and you have a burden that you really need to release. And so I feel like you're having some physical symptoms that are related to stress. You're carrying a burden. I feel like it may be time to let go of something that just no longer serves you. That you're in a situation where you're kind of responsible for a situation that really isn't your problem, but that it's been made your problem in one way or another. This is often a family situation. And so you're feeling really stuck, and it's creating a lot of physical symptoms of stress. So realize that the symptoms you're feeling are just that, symptoms. They're not the cause. It is a situation in your life that you're carrying a lot around with you that is it's too much pressure for you. You have very little control over it, and it really is someone else's problem. And it's time to hand it back to the person that it belongs to. And I think you'll feel those physical symptoms will dissipate once you've done that. Okay. So thank you for being here today, and I hope that helps. Elise says, hi, Kristi, I do have a reading request if you have time. Any message about my fixer-upper house is welcome. Look forward to hearing your show. Oh boy, fixer-upper houses. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is that this house needs to feel like it is loved. So it is a fixer-upper, which means that it's got a lot of issues. And, think of it like a person who has a lot of problems. And that person might feel like they're a real burden on the people around them, and that they don't really have any value to anybody else, and they don't really contribute anything into the world. This house needs to feel like it's loved and like it matters. So first of all, I would clear it. I would sage it, and I would burn some white candles in the house and bless those candles to fill that house up with the kind of love and energy that you want in the house, whichever, what kind of energy do you want it to have? And then do some things that show it that it is loved. I keep seeing like a wreath on the front door, something beautiful on the front door that shows that you are proud of this house, that draws attention to it out into the world. I feel like that will improve the energy of the space quite a lot. So start there, and then, of course, just always remember that when you're frustrated with the house, that lowers the vibration of the space. And so do your best to love it for who it is, for what it is, for the purpose that it serves as you are fixing it up. Okay? Thank you for the question. Denise says, if you are doing scans or an energy check-in, I have an unknown tumor on my left leg. It appeared around the time my mom was dying and is right on my psoas. Going to do another clearing with you when funds pick up. Sure. Let's see. I do feel that it is a minor thing. I don't think that this is a major medical issue, but I do want to, of course, always give you the caveat that you need to see a doctor and have it looked at just to be sure. I keep feeling frankincense oil. The frankincense oil would be a good idea. Rubbed on it every day. And of course, you can dilute that. But that will help it to reabsorb back into your body. And when you can, have it looked at. Okay. Thank you, Denise, and thanks for being here today. Let's see. Mindy says, I would love a reading today. I'm having really bad headaches and my neck and shoulders ache. Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah. Well, you have a pretty good attachment, right? And it's right back here, kind of at the base of your neck. It's a throat chakra attachment. It is one of those arrows that gets flung at us from emotionally charged thoughts. So you had some kind of conversation, altercation with someone else who had a strong reaction to something that you said. And it's not that you've done anything wrong. I feel like you set a boundary, or you were trying to bring someone back to reality a little bit, and they had a really strong reaction to that, and so they fired. Our minds control our energy bodies, whether we realize it or not. Our thoughts do, and so we have the ability to fire an arrow off at somebody without really meaning to. So, Mindy, I'm just going to pull that, and I'm going to heal that energy, and I'm going to send it back to who it came from, because it's not yours. So the physical body reacts kind of like there's a sliver. So you start having pain because it's a warning sign that, hey, there's something here that isn't supposed to be here. And so we often have pain associated with these kinds of attachments. So I think that that's going to really help with your headaches and your neck and shoulder pain. I think you'll find that your physical body will relax. Let's see. Okay. Pamela says, I would really love a message if you have time. I feel like I am on the way to better things, even though I am toughing through some things at the moment. Oh, Pamela, yes. And I love that. Way to be optimistic. I am headed for better things, even though I'm toughing through some difficult things right now. That's what I mean by optimism right there. And you're right. You are headed for better things. I feel like you're working through some tough things right now that really are a resolution to some issues that you have had. And that when you work through them, then they will be cleared from your life. And so you're doing the work to really release some stuff that no longer serves you. I'm just going to release some real heavy energy that's in your heart and throat. That it's a heart-throat block. That's what I call it. When we have feelings in our hearts that we don't really express verbally, and so we get this buildup of energy that gets stuck right here. I'm just going to help to release that, Pamela, and ease up the pressure that you have going on there. And that will help to release some of the discomfort, and it will help for you to express some of the words that need to be expressed, okay? So thank you very much for being here, and I'm sorry that you're struggling. But you're right. You're headed for better things. You definitely are. Handy says, I'm having issues with the leasing community where my mom lives because of my brother. I do not want them to move from there right now. Could you do a clearing for the management and my family so we can resolve the issue in a peaceful manner? Yes, I surely can, Handy. And that is awesome that you asked for that, because you're right. They're like, the energy between them is very electric. It's become one of those situations where there's so much frustration and anger built up between both parties that it's amplifying between them. And so I'm going to clear that between the two parties, because you're right, it does need to be, because they're reacting to all of the past stuff as well as the current stuff. So nobody is really being rational about it, and nobody is really just looking at what is most fair. So I'm going to clear as much of that away as I can. I would encourage you to help your family to keep their communications more positive with this group, okay? Let's see. Janelle, we're almost out of time, guys. I'm going to get to everything I can. Janelle says, I made a huge move and unfortunately it has gone south. I'm desperately scrambling to find a temporary place for myself and my kids until school's out. Any insight on how long it is going to take? We are at risk for harm. And any messages for if long term we will stay or go back to Idaho? Oh, Janelle, I'm sorry. I feel the chaos around you. I feel like it's going to take about 2 weeks to get into something else, but you will. Here's the message. Take whatever you can get, and you're going to not like what you take. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're going to end up taking a living situation you really don't like that seems less than the standards you're used to living in. But ultimately, it is a stepping stone to getting to a safer, more positive environment. And so it is a short-term situation. So take whatever comes up. This is one of those times where you don't be picky, because recognize that this is not a long-term thing, but it gets you out. And then the intensity level of all of it's going to come down a bit. You're going to feel like you can then move into looking for something more long-term. I will tell you that it is, at this point, I feel very neutral about whether you will stay where you are or move back to Idaho. I feel like neither one is more likely than the other to happen, which just means that it's your choice. It's not like one of them is right and one of them is wrong, okay? So I just want to say that, and I'm going to send lots of love and protection to you guys, but just take the very first thing you get out, and then you can move on from there, okay? So much love to you, and thank you for being here. One last thing, I know I'm out of time. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of you. I will be available at 1-2-Listen right after the show and can help with anything that you need. I wanted you to know I do have a class this Saturday over at 1-2 Academy. It is actually not a class, but it's a group. It is my monthly clearing group. And so one Saturday a month I get together with you and it's a guided imagery clearing. I read the energy of everyone who is in the group, and then I do this guided imagery clearing. It is recorded. You don't have to be there live. I read everybody that is registered. But it's really a positive thing. It's been a very beautiful, positive experience with what we clear every month. And then you can use the recording multiple times to continue clearing what you would like to let go of. And that is this Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific over at 12academy.com. Well, I am very much out of time. Please stay tuned for Against the Rules with Brittany, and for all of our... I'm sorry, not against... I'm not on the Psychic Sisters. I'm on Kindred Spirits. Stay tuned for the Keys to Awakening with Velvet Dawn, Alita's Audacity, that has very special guest hosts, and Kathleen Peterson and friends. And as always, thanks for listening to 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.